The recent episode of Inner Intelligence failure, what has happened in TCS, has given a lot of debate in the minds of those who had enough of experience in corporate security on a broader level. Let us discuss how this inner intelligence failure has happened, because there are a lot of change in the approaches and problems with security, and the perspective of security in the minds of these administrators in the C-suite has helped this failure, because they are thinking that everything is cyber. The mere establishment of cyber network in the campus and that will give them enough of information about inner intelligence, which is incorrect. This is an incorrect approach, because your cybernetics and all these alliances, other equipment, modern installation of equipment can give you a good post-mortem, but it cannot give you the pre-intelligence inputs which are necessary in the case of larger organizations to have a clear monitoring and to prevent the episodes not to happen, to control the Apple, and to have an effective control over effective observation of the people who are working in the campus. Beyond the campus, it's of course is a different issue, but within the campus, what they are talking, with whom they are aligning, with whom they are going out freely, what is happening, this sort of information. This may appear to be very trivial to the C-suite people, but they have a lot of importance in analyzing what is happening inside the organization, and these inputs to be converted into inner intelligence and feed to the top ranking officials, including chief executive officer. So it is clear that there is a necessity of integrating both physical security and cyber security. Cyber security is essential, but physical presence of the people who observe, who analyze, who come to conclusions, who clearly analyze the behavioral pattern of the people, a trained people of their own organization, not entrusting this part of the inner intelligence wing to the outsider, is one of the important chapters which we have to concentrate in viewing or reviewing the security aspects of the larger organizations. I'll bring it to the managers, specifically the C-suite people who have fabricated and who have different opinions about security and undermining the security wing and easily thinking that it's too trivial, and sometimes entrusting the security wing's responsibility to HR people, which is a fatal mistake. If a management is attaching this security wing, specifically this inner intelligence wing, to HR, that will definitely result in a fiasco, because HR has got its own functions, its own functional biases in dealing the sort of cases. So an independent wing has to be there under the leadership of a very experienced person, so that he will analyze and feed to the top 1, 2, 3, so that the taking of action specifically definitely in their arena, but while processing the data, inputs must be analytical and more proximate to the reality of the things what have happened in that organization. Here in this context, I'll bring the C-suite. It requires a perspective towards integration of cyber and physical security. Majority of the C-suite professionals envision increasing, and they always discuss about the budgets, and they try to increase cyber security, and they wait towards cyber security rather than having physical security, and they took it as a mission to reduce the number of physical presence and physical security. It indicates, the recent survey and results indicate, diminishing the role of physical security. Instead, respondents tended to report unified security plan. One possible explanation for this trend towards is not having holistic security in the hybrid threat. For example, the TCS episode, what has happened. A perceived threat among the C-suite professionals surveyed for this report in the insider threat, something that has implications for operations in the real and virtual worlds, therefore requires a unified response and security plan. This integrated approach has to come from the C-suite executives who are the real builders of the policy making in an organization. An interesting opportunity for future research has been identified through the study investigating how external security incidents or breaches influence C-suite professionals' approach in security could help identify new opportunities for collaboration and laying more emphasis, at least specifically the inner intelligence wing, under the control of an experienced administrator. And the people involved in this inner intelligence collecting wing and analytical wing shall never be handed over to a private agency, as normally done by C-suite people or the finance persons in the name of budget, which is incorrect, and that will definitely give a long run lot of negative aspects of negative presentations of the security. There is ever a possibility of having more incidents like what has happened in TCS, because the society is changing quite a lot. The problems faced by the larger organizations in good olden days are quite different with this present societal world, because this society is the social formulations, the congregation or the accumulation and this of these social formulations, if you analyze, they are susceptible several biases, several approaches, personal things, with knowledge advertently or inadvertently getting into the trap of bad things and building bad image to the organization. To avoid that, the best thing required for larger organizations is to have a perspective from the C-suite regarding creating a healthy, balanced security approach of both physical and cyber with a good security strategy. Corporate physical security strategy often takes a back seat, and definitely this is a mistake. Corporate physical security is out enterprises' first line of defense for all breaches, even cyber ones. Countermeasures should manage not who just enter your building, but where they go once they get inside. This is especially important considering breaches from unauthorized access by taking our company's physical infrastructure and existing resources. Now, here in this context, they have used the infrastructure of the company for a bad purpose, for with an ulterior motive, which brought disrepute to the organization. Here, there is no question of discussing or having too much of debate on expenditure. Here is a question of reality, and here is a question of the name and fame of the organization. Why a corporate physical security strategy can fail? Because reducing the number of people, reducing the dynamic process of human intelligence, human analysis, and more depending on the cameras and cyber security consistently under ever changing conditions and adapting new training methods applicable from top to bottom, this strategy is failing, because there is no training at all. They will bring some bunk of the people in the name of security agency. That fellow, they are not properly trained, they don't spend anything, they are not biased, they don't belong to the what sense of loyalty and commitment do have such private agencies to the organizational reputation or organizational security. So the new emerging threats require, which is happening in a country like India, and a lot of influence of religion, caste, region, so many things entering into the brains of young executives, and who are influenced maybe advertently and inadvertently. The new threats require updated countermeasures. If we treat physical security as a strategic system only, requires for an occasional maintenance for the strategy may not work to be expected level. And these silos, information silos, what is happening with this interesting to the private security agencies? Normally these private security supervisors will not have entrance to the innermost areas where suit people and silos, and they cannot get information, they do not have access and that possibility of analyzing what is exactly happening. This information of silos are a common problem in corporate physical security in collecting the inner intelligence wing without psychoanalytic construction will lead to lame protocols and irresponsible priorities. I repeat this sentence. The moment you hand over to the private people, specifically inner intelligence, it will result in very lame protocols and irresponsible priorities. Limited security awareness will be there with them because their recruitment process did not undergo any training or proper selection process. A security awareness, a training which cannot be given by a private agency, however big it is, especially for the security wing, physical security wing, which has to lead the inner intelligence collection and analyzing the data, analyzing the behavior of the people, that designing the guard against human error is possible with the physical infrastructure. When employees do not have security awareness, intruders can take advantage through mails, through several cyber infrastructure. They can go their way into the building following the heels of someone and they use the key card and utilize it for a bad purpose. That will be happening. Oversimplification of plans will not resolve the security issues. Companies may take a very simple approach, especially for inner intelligence and vigilance things. They should be seriously work out and add their own people, experienced people not less than 10 years in their organization. If they are kept, definitely they can analyze. They have understanding about the individuals, their nature, their behavioral pattern, so that according to the changed environment, they will be monitored not directly but indirectly. The inner intelligence wing can collect intelligence and kept it in a template form and analyze it and give it to the whatever may be the advocacy of the top management, whether he is interested to 1, 2, 3, maybe a cadre. See, the complexity of complacency, I am using these words with the private agencies. The complexity of complacency will be bred by oversimplification, inevitably giving access to breaches. Hence, a judicious combination of both physical and cyber security is essential for any growing organization or the present larger organizations. Physical presence of your own employee committed to your own organization, a security trained person of your own organization is an essential to make this a success in making this practice security devices and transforming it into best practice. No doubt you may install number of beautiful security devices, but who is looking after it and how that inputs are analyzed by whom, with what commitment and what responsibility and what protocols they are following in the process of analyzing. Best practices for corporate physical security prioritize. The security plan need to be set to ensure effective countermeasures. One of the biggest concern should be controlling foot traffic throughout your building by limiting access. You can better pinpoint risks of your security infrastructure and guard it. And having an eye and accessibility to the information system which is being driven by the several important group leaders with whom they are chatting, what sort of chattings are there, that has to be clearly monitored by a responsible person who is not only enlightened but who is highly educated, committed to the organization. Then only that sort of inner intelligence can be properly analyzed and fed to the high level management. An outlook of prognosis of security services to draw a detailed plan which is implementable and sustainable. Integrated systems and integrated design help systems to work cohesively so that one program support the next. Access control and surveillance can connect to create a solution for managing and monitoring in building, inside the silos, and inside the hearts of the people, the group leaders and the participant, what they are thinking and what they are doing, with whom they are chatting, what sort of material is being chatted between these two people. This magnetic approach of inner intelligence, a powerful section, then only it is possible to build up a detailed blueprint map for integrated physical and cyber security. Not only the apparatus, but the brain behind the apparatus, which is analyzing and critically analyzing what is happening. See, that's what we use as a defense mechanism, defense technique, defense perception to prevent a TCS like incident. A security requires a defense mechanism, a defense technique, and defense perception. The only panacea is to draw a method which will give physical security strategy a live wire functioning, is to train manpower to the fullest extent, and all these trained manpower must belong to the organization who are committed and who have experience with the organization and who have experience in the growth of the organization. The men have to be equipped with modern concepts and contemporary research in the field of physical security. This word contemporary research, the security men must be exposed about the contemporary threats which are being circulated in the society. After all, entire society cannot be controlled by C-suits. They may be, however great they may be, however great degrees they may have. After all, they are human beings. It's the limited time. Their time is very precious and they have very less time. So it must be delegated to an experienced person who have a total comprehension of security, both physical and cyber security, to have an integrated system. I wish these above points would be taken into consideration for your building up of physical security strategy in a detailed blueprint for ensuring exponential growth of the organization very soon. My telling of this is with a good intention to avoid, and reputed organizations like TCS should not become unpopular in the minds of the society, because they did a lot to the society, and because of these financial advisors and some C-suit people who think that is too oversimplification of this physical security will not help you and it will bring you a bad name. My sincere request is, my telling this to you is intention not to intrude but in the domain of work, but sincere proposition to elevate the function. To elevate the function as an old god with keen study of the contemporary security management literature. Once again, I request every one of the managers who listen to this, kindly pursue the C-suite to give a clear perspective of integrated physical and cyber security. Here, the most important point is collecting inner intelligence, analyzing it from the point of view of the organization, and communicating unfiltered information. I am using this unfiltered word because there are several hierarchies who wants to suppress certain information. So that means it requires some independence for this wing. Hence, once again, I request all the managers to get into this and build up a good integrated security system. Thank you very much.